I never thought I'd be turned away from my own mother's birthday party. But there I was, 34 years old, dressed in sapphire blue, holding a gift wrapped in silver ribbon, and being told I wasn't on the guest list. The venue was a private winery overlooking Lake Norman, all reclaimed wood and hanging lights, elegant in a deliberately effortless way. I stood at the entrance, unsure whether to laugh or cry, as my father, Dennis Morgan, in his perfectly pressed khakis and that stiff, familiar scowl, blocked the doorway like I was a wedding crasher. "You're not on the list," he said flatly, eyes flicking down to the clipboard in his hands. Not even a greeting, not even a trace of surprise, just cold, procedural rejection. I blinked at him. "Excuse me." My voice was too high, too hopeful. "I flew here from Seattle. I talked to Mom last week. She said I should come." But he didn't budge. "This is a private event for family," he replied. "People who actually make time for Helen." The way he said her name instead of "your mother" stung more than I expected. Behind him, I caught a glimpse of Nicole, my sister, her hair curled into soft waves, dress a shade too close to one Mom used to wear, eyes sharp with satisfaction. She was standing just inside the venue, sipping white wine like she belonged to the room and I didn't. When she saw me, she smiled, not kindly, not welcomingly. It was the kind of smile people give when they've won, when they've prepared for this moment. I looked down at the gift in my hands, a vintage emerald brooch I'd spent weeks finding. It had taken hours of combing antique shops to locate one that resembled the piece Mom had admired in her grandmother's jewelry box, the one she told me about when I was 10. I'd paired it with a premium spa package, picked out the perfect card, written a note that began, "For every moment you made me feel seen," and now I wasn't even allowed to give it to her. The guests kept arriving. Familiar faces from childhood, cousins, family friends, people I hadn't seen in over a decade, murmured as they passed me. Some avoided eye contact. Others gave me polite, puzzled looks. I felt like a stranger, haunting my own memories. My name, Lisa Morgan, meant nothing at this door. I wasn't the golden child. I wasn't the baby of the family. I was the daughter who left, and apparently the one they'd rather forget. Growing up in suburban Charlotte, I was the invisible thread that held everything together, but never the centerpiece. Nicole, my younger sister, was always the star. Even as a kid, she sparkled. Class president, dance recitals, endless trophies with her name engraved in gold. My older brother, Zach, was the charming slacker, the fun one, the kid who always got away with everything. And me? I was Lisa, the responsible one, the dependable one, the girl who never needed too much. Family photos told the whole story. Nicole beaming in the center, holding her latest ribbon. Zach with his arms slung lazily around someone's shoulder, and me, just there off and off to the side, half out of frame. No one ever meant to crop me out, but no one made sure I stayed in, either. I didn't throw tantrums. I didn't demand attention. I just did what I was told and got good grades. I thought that would be enough. The only person who really saw me back then was Mom. When I was 7, I came home in tears after being the only girl in class not invited to Melissa Green's birthday party. I still remember how Dad shrugged, saying, "Not everyone gets included in everything." But Mom sat me down, made paper party hats out of construction paper, and baked a box cake with pink frosting. We danced in the living room together that night, just the two of us, while she whispered, "You're special in your own way, Lisa. Never forget that." I never did. When I was 12, I built a solar system model for the science fair. I didn't win first place, Nicole always did, but I got third. A small certificate, nothing flashy. Mom framed it anyway and hung it right next to Nicole's wall of awards. "It's not about being the best," she said. "It's about doing your best." 3 days later, Dad took it down because he said it cluttered the wall. But I found it months later tucked inside Mom's bedside drawer. On my 16th birthday, when a group of friends bailed last minute to go to Nicole's friend's party instead, I remember Mom pulling me into the car and driving 2 hours to Raleigh to see the musical I'd been dying to watch. She bought me dinner, got us balcony seats, and told me I deserved to feel like the most important person in the world. That night I did. Those moments anchored me. They made me believe I mattered, even if the rest of my family didn't seem to notice. I left Charlotte when I was 18, headed west with 2 suitcases and a partial scholarship to the University of Washington. It wasn't the safe choice. Nicole had gone to UNC like Mom wanted. Zach was still figuring things out, and Dad didn't understand why I wanted to be so far from home. But I needed distance. I needed to find out who I was when I wasn't the forgotten middle child. At first, Mom called me every Sunday. She asked about my classes, my roommates, the weather. I sent her photos of my dorm, little updates, birthday cards I designed myself. But slowly things began to shift. The calls became shorter. Then they became monthly. Then, sometimes, they didn't happen at all. By 29, I was working in operations at Orion Systems, a mid-sized AI firm in Seattle. I climbed the ladder fast, too fast for my family to keep up. By 34, I was director of operations, managing nearly 200 employees and overseeing budgets larger than my father's entire business. While Nicole helped out at Dad's insurance firm and Zach bounced from bartending to freelance marketing, I was building a career from scratch and paying for all their Christmas presents. But back home, that success was a foreign language. Still working at that computer place, Dad would ask every year as if it was a hobby, "When are you going to settle down and give your mother some grandkids?" Always followed by a loaded look. Nicole didn't have children either, but no one asked her. She was local, present, proper. And no matter what I sent home, gift boxes with Orion logos, gourmet baskets, handwritten notes, Dad still saw me as distant, different, maybe even disloyal. Even Mom stopped asking about work. She didn't understand what I did, and over time, she stopped pretending to try. Nicole said I made things all about me, that my gifts were just guilt in a fancy box. 3 Thanksgivings ago, after 1 too many glasses of wine, Nicole cornered me in the kitchen. "You think you're so special with your Seattle life, don't you?" she hissed, slicing pumpkin pie like it had offended her. "We're the ones actually here for Mom and Dad." "I call every week," I said, trying to stay calm. "I invite you all to visit. I send things." She rolled her eyes. "Yeah, from your high-rise tower. Everything's a performance with you." I laughed, but it wasn't funny. That's rich coming from the girl who posts every family dinner on Instagram. Nicole didn't flinch. "At least I'm here being a real daughter." That Thanksgiving changed everything. I flew home like I always did, booked the overpriced flight, brought the boutique wine with the neutral colors so no one would accuse me of being showy. I even baked a sweet potato casserole from scratch, trying to be part of things. But the table was already set in more ways than one. Nicole had prepped her usual curated photos for social media. Zach was glued to his phone, and Dad opened the meal with his classic toast. To family, the ones who stay. I felt it like a jab wrapped in a smile. Dinner was quiet at first, filled with the clinking of forks and tension unspoken. Then Nicole said it. "So, Lisa, still no +1 this year?" The way she said it was surgical, soft enough to pass as casual, sharp enough to land. I smiled tight, still waiting for someone who understands my work schedule. Dad grunted. "That job of yours, always keeping you too busy for real life." I set down my fork. "What does that mean?" He shrugged, taking a sip of wine. "You know exactly what it means." Nicole leaned forward. "It means maybe it's time you stop thinking you're better than the rest of us." I blinked. "Excuse me." "You left," she said, voice rising. "You built this big shiny life, and now you come back here once a year, expecting applause." I felt something crack inside me. Years of silence. Years of biting my tongue. I took a breath. "At least I built it myself," I said. "I didn't slide into Dad's office and pretend that makes me special. The room froze. Dad's glass clinked against the table. Nicole's jaw tightened. Even Mom looked stunned. And for once, I didn't back down. "I've worked for everything I have," I said, my voice low but firm. "That doesn't mean I think I'm better. It means I know my worth." Nicole stood up. "I think you should leave." It wasn't a suggestion. And the worst part? No one said anything. Not Zach. Not Dad. Not even Mom. I left. I packed my things, called a car, and flew back to Seattle that same night. No one followed. No one called the next day, or the week after, or the month after that, until 3 months later, when I saw the post about Mom's 60th birthday party, and my name wasn't there. It was a Tuesday night in February, nearly midnight in Seattle, and I was still at the office. The cleaning crew had just passed through, the hum of the vacuum blending with the buzz of fluorescent lights. My screen glowed with quarterly reports and supply chain updates, but none of it held my attention. I had made the mistake of opening Facebook. That's when I saw it. A banner celebrating Helen Morgan, 60 years of love and laughter. Nicole had created the event page, of course. The cover photo was a professionally edited collage of our mother through the years. Weddings, graduations, baby Zach with chocolate on his face. The guest list read like a roll call of my childhood. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in years, neighbors from the old cul-de-sac. Even Mom's college roommate from Georgia. Everyone was invited. Everyone except me. I scrolled and scrolled, hoping my name had just been missed. Maybe a technical error. Maybe I was hidden as a surprise. But no, there it was, plain and painful. The going list was nearly 100 people. Not one of them was me. My chest tightened. I stared at the screen, the blue light slicing through the dim office, and wondered, was this a mistake? Or was this my punishment? The next morning, after pacing my apartment for hours, I picked up the phone and called Mom. She answered groggily. "Lisa." Her voice was soft, surprised. "Is everything okay?" That was our dynamic now. My calls always signaled emergencies, never connection. "I saw the birthday party event," I said. My voice was calm, too calm. "I didn't get an invite." Silence. Nicole said you were busy," she replied. "That you had that big thing at work, the Singapore expansion." "That's next month, Mom. I told you I'd make time." My voice cracked. I said I wanted to be there. She sounded flustered. "Of course you should come. It would be lovely to see you." But something in her tone didn't sit right. Hesitant, as if she was walking on eggshells inside her own home. Still, I booked the ticket that night. First class to Charlotte. $2,100 I didn't really have. But this wasn't about money. This was about being seen. About showing up. I spent the next few days planning like it was a campaign. Gift, outfit, apology lines, defense strategy. I was flying into enemy territory, but I was done letting other people write the story of who I was in this family. The winery was beautiful. Exactly Mom's taste, rustic elegance with sprawling windows that framed the glimmering waters of Lake Norman like a painting. I arrived early, hoping to catch her before the crowd, to say happy birthday like a normal daughter would. But when I reached the front entrance, the plan unraveled fast. Dad was already there, clipboard in hand, greeting guests like a doorman at an exclusive club. He looked up when he saw me and didn't even blink. "Lisa," he said. No smile, no warmth. "Hi, Dad," I replied, forcing a smile. "Is Mom inside?" "She is," he said, then glanced down at the clipboard. "But you're not on the list." I actually laughed. I thought it was a joke. "Come on. I talked to Mom. She said I should come." He didn't laugh. "This party has been planned for weeks. For people who've actually been here." There was something almost rehearsed in the way he said it. The message was clear. I wasn't family. Not anymore. Not to him. Behind him, guests were watching. Some pretended not to. Others whispered. I saw Aunt Shirley stiffen when she recognized me. I caught Uncle Paul's puzzled frown. I felt heat creep up my neck, that familiar burn of humiliation. I flew here, I said, trying to stay calm. I took time off. I brought a gift. Can't you just? You should have called, he cut in. Mom doesn't need stress on her birthday. Stress. That was what I'd become. Not a daughter. Not even a guest. Just stress. And then Nicole appeared, floating to his side in soft pink chiffon, her hair curled like Mom's, her expression radiant with fake concern. Is there a problem? She asked, as if she hadn't orchestrated this whole thing. I turned to her. I talked to Mom. She said I should come. She shrugged. She probably felt pressured. You know how she hates conflict. I'm not here to fight, I said quietly. I just want to give her this. I held out the silver-wrapped gift. Dad didn't take it. Nicole did. She held it delicately like it might explode. We'll make sure she gets it. I stared at them both. The daughter who stayed. The father who never looked back. And me, the stranger in sapphire. I took a breath. Tell her I love her, I said. And happy birthday. Then I turned around and walked back to the parking lot, every step deliberate, every heartbeat screaming that I did not belong here. I made it to the rental car before my hands started shaking. I sat in the front seat, gripping the steering wheel, trying to breathe through the tidal wave of humiliation crashing through me. My mascara clung to the corners of my eyes. My chest ached with the weight of years I'd spent trying to earn a seat at a table that had no place for me. I wasn't going to cry in the parking lot. I wasn't. I was reaching for the ignition when someone knocked on the window. I jumped, startled. Outside stood a man, tall, awkward in a too-big suit, with a nervous expression that didn't match the self-assurance of most of my sister's past boyfriends. He gave a small wave. I rolled the window down partway. Lisa, he asked. Sorry, Ms. Morgan. I mean, just Lisa is fine, right? I blinked. Do I know you? He scratched the back of his neck. We've never really spoken. I'm Ethan, Nicole's boyfriend. But I also work at Orion Systems. Software engineering, 3rd floor. For a moment, the world froze. You work where? Orion, he repeated. I transferred from the Charlotte office 8 months ago. Wanted to be closer to Nicole on weekends. But during the week, I'm in Seattle. At HQ, I've seen you in meetings. We've never directly worked together, but you're my boss. I stared at him. The absurdity almost made me laugh. Of all the people Nicole could have dated, she'd chosen someone in my company, someone in my orbit, and somehow she hadn't known. She doesn't know I'm your boss? I asked. Not exactly, he said carefully. She knows I work at Orion. She just doesn't ask many questions. That sounded like Nicole. He glanced back toward the building, then looked at me again. Listen, I should have said something back there. What they did, what your dad did, it wasn't right. I didn't know this was going to happen. My voice was tight. But you heard them talking about it last night, didn't you? He hesitated, then nodded. At the rehearsal dinner, Nicole and your dad were discussing what to do if he showed up. Your mom wasn't part of that conversation. I leaned back in the seat, trying to absorb that. So this had been planned. The rejection wasn't a mistake. It was a decision. She doesn't even know I tried to come, does she? I asked. She asked about you, Ethan said softly. She thought maybe you'd surprise her. Nicole told her you sent your regrets weeks ago. A lie. A deliberate, calculated lie. And that's when the humiliation turned into something sharper. Not sadness. Not confusion. Resolve. I don't know what came over me, but the next thing I knew, I had opened the car door. Ethan stepped back as I stood up, smoothing my dress, straightening my spine. My heart was pounding, but there was a strange calm under it, a clarity that had taken years to arrive. I looked him straight in the eye. You coming with me? He blinked. Back in there. Yes. He hesitated, then nodded. Absolutely. We walked toward the side entrance, away from the crowd gathered at the front, away from my father's clipboard and Nicole's perfect smile. The room inside was full now, about 60 guests mingling under the string lights. A slideshow of family memories played on a projection screen. I wasn't in a single photo. At the center table sat my mother, elegant as ever in lavender, her silver hair pinned back, laughing at something my Uncle Marcus was saying. She hadn't seen me yet, but Nicole did. Her eyes widened. She stood instantly, whispering something to my father. They both turned just as Ethan stepped forward and cleared his throat. "Everyone," he said loudly enough for the crowd to hush, "I'd like to introduce someone very special. This is Lisa Morgan, daughter of the guest of honor and my boss at Orion Systems." The silence was deafening. My mother's head snapped up. Her gaze locked on mine and something shifted. Confusion first, then disbelief, then something like joy. "Lisa," she said, standing, napkin fluttering to the floor. "You came." I stepped toward her, but Nicole intercepted me like a storm. "Ethan," she hissed, "what are you doing?" He didn't flinch. The right thing. Dad appeared beside her, face flushed with rage. I thought I made myself clear at the door. "You did," I said calmly. "You told me this was a party for people who make time for family. I made time." Mom was staring at them now. "Dennis, what is going on?" We thought she wasn't coming," he muttered. "After Thanksgiving, we didn't think. I talked to you last week," I told her gently. "I said I was coming. I took time off. I bought a gift." Nicole's voice sharpened. "We were trying to protect you, Mom. After what she said at Thanksgiving, I didn't say what you told her. I said, I cut in. And I think it's time you stopped speaking for me." All around us, guests were frozen in place. My mother looked between us all. And for the first time in years, I saw her take a step toward me instead of away. "Everyone," Mom said, her voice steady but firm, "please enjoy the party. My family and I need a few moments." She didn't wait for permission. She gestured toward a small side room near the back of the venue, her posture straight, her chin lifted like the matriarch she'd once been, before the noise of other people's stories drowned out her own. My father, Nicole, Ethan, and I followed silently, a strange parade of tension and exposed nerves. Guests parted to let us through, some pretending not to stare, most failing. As the door clicked shut behind us, Mom turned around. "Now," she said, "someone explain what the hell is going on." It was the first time I'd heard her swear in years. Dad started. "She showed up uninvited. After what she said, what exactly did she say?" Mom interrupted, eyes narrowing. "And I want her words, not yours." He paused. "She said we were holding her back, that she had to build her life alone because we didn't support her." I exhaled slowly. I said I built my career myself. I said that after Nicole accused me of having an empty life, I never said I was better. I said I worked hard. That's not a crime. Nicole crossed her arms, her voice tight. "You don't know what it's like being here every day. I drive Mom to doctor's appointments. I deal with Dad's moods. I keep the house together. And you," her voice cracked, "you just get to drop in and be the success." I looked at Mom. "Doctor's appointments?" She sighed softly. "I've had some memory issues. Mild cognitive decline. Nothing severe, but I didn't want to worry you." "She told me not to," Nicole added quickly. "I was trying to protect her." "Protect you?" "No," Mom said, eyes locked on Nicole. "You were controlling the narrative. You've been speaking for me, managing what I hear and don't hear. And I let you. That was my mistake." Ethan cleared his throat gently. "I've heard some of the things Nicole said, and the way Lisa's been portrayed doesn't match the person I know, the person I work under. Lisa is respected, smart, fair, not what I was led to expect." Nicole turned toward him, pain flashing across her face. "You're taking her side? Over me?" "I'm not taking sides," Ethan replied. "I'm telling the truth." Mom sat down slowly, her hands trembling just enough to make me ache. I don't want lies between us anymore. I've already lost time. I won't lose either of you. I looked at Nicole. Her face was tight, wounded, but under the anger, something was unraveling. After that confrontation, something shifted, not magically, not all at once, but the tension that had clung to us for years, unspoken, heavy, generational, finally cracked. When we returned to the party, no one spoke of what had just happened, but I could feel it in the way people looked at me now, not as the outlier, not as the cautionary tale, but as someone real, someone finally seen. Mom kept me close the rest of the evening. She introduced me to old friends, clutched my hand when we posed for photos, and when we cut her birthday cake, she pulled me beside her with a smile that didn't need translation. The next day, she called me before I even reached the airport. "Thank you for coming," she said, and "I'm sorry. I should have asked you directly about everything. I should have trusted you." I closed my eyes. I'm sorry, too, for waiting so long to say any of this. That weekend changed something deeper than just family roles. It altered how I showed up in the world. Back in Seattle, I threw myself into work with renewed focus, not the kind born from avoidance, but from clarity. There was a steadiness in me now, something anchored. For the first time in years, I felt like both parts of my life, professional and personal, were allowed to coexist. 2 weeks later, our CEO called me into her office. "We're opening a VP-level position to oversee global operations," she said, "and we'd like to offer it to you." I blinked. "Are you sure?" Stephanie smiled. "Your technical skills are solid, Lisa. But what's impressed me most is your leadership during difficult situations. You've shown maturity, courage, and integrity. That's what this role needs." I accepted. The first person I called was Mom. "I always knew you'd do something big," she said. "But what I love most is that you've done it with kindness." "I learned that from you," I said softly. Nicole didn't speak to me for a while after the party. But then one night I got a text. "I'm going to therapy. I don't know where this goes, but I want you to know I'm trying." It wasn't an apology. Not yet. But it was a start. And Ethan? He requested a department transfer at Orion the week after the party. Moved out of my chain of command. "Cleaner lines," he said. "Professionally and personally." I respected that. But I also knew he had become an unlikely ally in this story. One I would never forget. 3 months after the birthday party, Mom stepped off the plane at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. Her first time visiting me since I'd moved out west 16 years ago. She looked smaller than I remembered, more fragile beneath her neat coat and travel-weary eyes. But when she spotted me at the gate, her face lit up like it had when I was 7, and she'd surprised me with cake and party hats. "Lisa," she said, and there was so much in her voice it almost broke me. "Welcome to my world," I said, hugging her tightly. "It's about time you saw it." I took 3 days off work, something unheard of for me, and showed her everything. The apartment overlooking Lake Union, the corner cafe where they knew my order by heart, the reading garden behind the public library where I liked to disappear during lunch breaks. She saw the version of me that no one back home had ever tried to understand. And for once, I didn't feel the need to prove anything. I just let her in. On the 3rd day, I brought her to Orion. She met my team, shook hands with executives, even sat through part of a design meeting. She was quiet most of the time, watching me move through the space with a kind of quiet pride. Later that night, over takeout and tea, she said, "I get it now. Why you stayed. Why you built this. It's not just a job, it's your life. And it's beautiful." Her words healed something I didn't realize was still open. After she flew home, our calls became consistent again, short but full of warmth. She started sending me little things. A scarf that matched my coat, a book she thought I'd love, even a recipe for the carrot cake I used to beg for every birthday. They weren't grand gestures. They were tokens of presence, of effort, of love. Dad began reaching out, too, in his own awkward way. Articles about tech trends, Thought you might like this, he'd write. It wasn't affection, but it was attention. And after years of silence, I'd take that as a win. Nicole and I, still a work in progress, but we were talking, carefully, respectfully, and for the first time, it didn't feel like a competition. It felt possible. That Thanksgiving, I hosted dinner in my Seattle apartment. Mom came. So did Zach and his new girlfriend. Nicole sent a gift basket and a card that read, "Maybe next year." It was enough. Boundaries don't have to be walls. Sometimes they're bridges. And when built with honesty and courage, they can lead you home.